The film begins with John, a former special ops officer, emotionally wrecked by the loss of his comrades in the war. Haunted by survivor's guilt, he flirts with suicide, methodically loading bullets into a revolver, intentionally leaving one chamber empty. When he pulls the trigger, fate spares him with an empty shot. Later that day, while buying liquor, John remains eerily detached as two armed men storm the store. When one of them turns the gun on him, John fearlessly suggests the gunman shoot him in the head for a faster death. Instead, John swiftly disarms him and knocks him out. When the second attacker lunges at him with a knife, John gains control of the blade and subdues him too. Memories from combat flood John's mind, compelling him to show mercy rather than take a life. After collecting the stolen cash, John calmly returns it to the store owner and walks away. Back home, he vents his psychological pain by pushing his body through intense workouts and punching the wall in frustration. The following day, John's sister, Cindy, drops by unannounced, worried because he's been ignoring her calls. They later have dinner at a restaurant, where she learns that John has abandoned his antidepressants and switched medications. She shares her plan to travel to Brazil to work in the slums with a humanitarian group. The next morning, Cindy quietly leaves while John sleeps and begins her journey to Rio de Janeiro. There, two Brazilian officers patrol the favela when a young girl runs to them, reporting that a woman's body has washed up on the beach. Officer Catarina rushes to the scene and finds Cindy barely alive. She's rushed to the hospital in critical condition. At the U.S. Embassy, Officers Tiago and Carlo inform the American ambassador about Cindy's situation. The ambassador contacts John and urges him to assist in the investigation of his sister's near-fatal assault. Upon receiving the devastating news, John quickly travels to Brazil. Meanwhile, Catarina, Tiago, and Carlo begin their own inquiries into the case. Tiago mocks Catarina for offering drinks to locals in exchange for information. When tensions rise with local criminals, Tiago proposes a contest. If their fighter wins, the investigation stops. If the police win, it continues. The gang leader accepts, sending one of his men to fight Carlo, who manages to defeat the opponent. Tiago declares his intent to continue probing the area. Upon arriving in Brazil, John is met by his old friend, U.S. Ambassador Manny. They visit Cindy, who is in a coma. John struggles to understand why anyone would harm her, considering her selfless work helping impoverished communities. Driven by purpose, he accompanies Tiago to the site of the assault and observes several young girls working as sex workers. Tiago introduces him to Catarina. When gunshot-like noises erupt, John grabs Catarina's firearm, only to find it was a passing vehicle backfiring. His action draws the attention of nearby gang members, but Tiago defuses the situation. John apologizes, blaming jet lag. Catarina leads John to investigate the area, but he doubts any locals will speak out due to gang control. Later, John visits Cindy in the hospital and notices an Asian nurse injecting something into her fore. Cindy begins convulsing violently. John rushes for help, but the nurse has vanished. The doctor concludes that Cindy was poisoned. Strangely, the nurse John described isn't listed as part of the medical staff. Manny and Tiago arrive, promising to keep Cindy safe. But on another visit to the scene, John confronts a group of young men and spots a boy named Cuca wearing Cindy's necklace. Cuca runs, but John catches him and demands to know where the chain came from. When Cuca remains silent, John uses force. Bystanders intervene, but John dominates the scuffle. Catarina shows up and asks him to let Cuca go. John learns that Cuca received the necklace directly from Cindy. He also finds out Cuca's sister had gone missing and used to work with Cindy. John apologizes for hitting him. Cuca then says he has something to show John at home. Cuca takes John and Catarina back to his place and gives John Cindy's diary. John again apologizes and tells Cuca to keep the necklace. Catarina informs John that several girls have recently disappeared from the neighborhood. Growing more suspicious, John inspects Cuca's car, fearing it might have been rigged with explosives. After ensuring it's safe, they drive off, unaware they're being watched by the same Asian woman who posed as the hospital nurse. Later, John studies Cindy's diary at a bar and notices a page had been torn out. Fortunately, a carbon imprint remains. He transfers the imprint to another sheet and reveals part of a phone number. When he calls the number, a man answers. He runs a photography studio. John arranges to meet him, The man, Bruno, explains that Cindy had approached him to document a meeting she had with someone connected to the disappearance of local girls. John asks for copies of the photos, but Bruno refuses, afraid for his safety. Without Bruno noticing, John takes a flash drive containing the pictures. As John leaves, Bruno's car explodes. He turns and sees the same Asian woman nearby, realizing she planted the bomb. John gives chase, but she escapes in a car with accomplices. Moments later, another vehicle approaches and gunmen open fire. John grabs a fallen guard's gun and returns fire, wounding several attackers and forcing them to flee. He heads to the embassy and meets Manny. Together, they study a photo of the man Cindy met. A club name reflected in the car window gives them their next lead. John and his team go to the nightclub in search of the man. Inside, he confronts him in the bathroom, but security intervenes. Still determined, John confronts smuggler Lima. After applying pressure, Lima admits someone tipped Cindy off about his operation. He gives John an address tied to those responsible for hurting her. Meanwhile, Tiago holds a police briefing about upcoming raids targeting drug traffickers and prostitution rings. John and Manny head to the location Lima mentioned at the site. A girl notifies an Asian woman about John's arrival. Recognizing him, the woman becomes nervous and asks her crew to eliminate him quietly. A man lures John to a secluded balcony, where John witnesses a group transporting girls, including Maria, Cuca's missing sister. An attacker tries to subdue John, but he overpowers him and moves toward the area where the captives are being held. Meanwhile, during the police raids, an officer chases a suspect. Another officer spots a van full of kidnapped girls. After a firefight, one kidnapper is killed and an Asian woman is arrested. Tiago and Carlo respond to the scene. In a shocking turn, Tiago kills the officer and informs the arrested woman that Cindy was handled as agreed. It becomes clear that Tiago has been collaborating with the Japanese Yakuza, including Carlo. The Asian woman informs Hiramoto, her boss, that John is alive and has been asking questions. Hiramoto instructs her to move the girls and eliminate any evidence, including Cindy. Meanwhile, Hiramoto kills Lima for leaking intel. Tiago attempts to set John up for arrest by calling in backup. When he confronts John, Katarina shows up. John reveals that Hiramoto is behind Cindy's attack and that he witnessed Hiramoto trafficking a girl. They all rush to the location, but Hiramoto has already moved the girls. John presents evidence, fake shipping documents, proving that Hiramoto is smuggling girls out of Brazil. Tiago promises to investigate and asks Katarina to escort John away. Outside, John realizes Tiago is corrupt. He asked about Lima's belongings, something only an insider would know. John instructs Katarina to protect Cindy immediately. Back at the hospital, the Asian woman attempts to kill Cindy, but Katarina arrives in time and shoots her. Tiago heads to the port to collect his reward, unaware that John is hiding in his car trunk. From there, John witnesses the girls being packed into shipping containers bound for Japan. He contacts Manny and reveals Tiago's betrayal. Then, John launches a full-on assault, killing several Yakuza enforcers. Realizing John is there, Hiramoto orders his men to eliminate him. John fights and defeats dozens of attackers. He battles both Carlo and Tiago, injuring Carlo fatally. Hiramoto attacks John with a sword. After a brutal fight, John kills Carlo by stabbing him with his foot, then grabs a bladed chain from Tiago and impales him with it. Hiramoto remains, still wielding a sword. During the duel, he stabs John with a hidden blade and mocks him, claiming Cindy fought better. Enraged, John beats Hiramoto savagely and kills him as Tiago lies dying. He gives John a key to a train station locker containing names of Hiramoto's partners. Tiago explains he did it all for his family, hoping to escape poverty. He begs John to end his life. John refuses, but leaves a revolver with a single bullet. As John exits, a gunshot rings out. Tiago has taken his own life. The authorities free all the kidnapped girls, including Maria. Later, John visits Cindy in the hospital. The doctor informs him she faces a long recovery. Manny offers John an unofficial government role, with Cindy's medical costs fully covered. Initially reluctant, John agrees. Manny hands him a file for their first mission, marking the beginning of a new chapter in John's life.